Hi, my name is Earla. I'm on my fourth year at Douglas College. I started in 2018 at Douglas. My first year was spent taking part in English courses at Douglas. This is while waiting to get accepted at Douglas for the BBA program. I took upgrading courses at UBC from my old May 2002 accounting diploma degree program while waiting. These courses, of course, are required to pursue my Canadian CPA designation for any dipset courses for my American Certified Public Accountant as a CPA designation, because once I pass all the required exam sections, I need to have at least 150 credit hours as a Washington State CPA exam candidate. The last US CPA exam I wrote was in December of 2021. I have been a US CPA exam candidate for many years now under the grandfather status. It gets me current with the accounting industry. But because I missed a few courses to get into the CPA designation program in Canada, CPA BC had credited me most of all courses, but it's not enough. And even Douglas College, they won't take any courses 10 years older, except for a few upgrade courses taken at UBC between 2018 and 2019. Now, as to my past work experience, I had worked for at least 4 accounting firms during tax season, including a Big Four many years ago. Since these accounting firms only need extra staff during tax season, I decided to go on my own and just become an entrepreneur. I tried a few things, especially online businesses, but I was running into problems of not having my CPA license and for legal uh, issue as well, liability issues. Besides accounting and taxes, I did voluntary administrative position in non-profit organizations, positions such as registrar, bookkeeper, investigative financial statements reviewer, treasurer, and as one of the board of directors positions and other activities that the organizations are providing the public. But then my three children grew up. I stopped volunteering and concentrated on helping my family financially instead. So, and also the minimum wage was almost a living wage, and the government is pretty much paying students to go to school. So I saw an opportunity to get my Canadian four-year degree at Douglas. At the same time, I turned my sole proprietorship into a partnership company called NYCARE. With my continuous educations and work and experience, I learned to adapt to changing conditions. I recognize my own strengths and weaknesses and those people around me. I identified the possible gaps on my current training and skills, and I went back to school and continue my pursuit of getting my CPA designation both side of the border. So I started a company called NYCARE in 2018. It was created from an acronym of my Riopel family members first used as a social media profile name. So, but before NYCARE became as a partnership company, I started as a partner, part-time sole proprietorship business using credit cards. Yes, it's credit cards. And some thought I'm actually crazy starting a business with credit cards. At one time, I used these credit cards for a Herbalife distributorship. The business only lasted for 2 years. It was not what I wanted to do. So in 2013, I started looking at our finances and see what I can do to increase our equity. I found out that my husband has a huge RSP contribution limit. So I started buying, spousal RSPs using credit cards. I mostly pick my own marketable securities through mutual funds. I started with 10,000 capital in 2013, but with the increase of funding, the company became a partnership company in 2018. With this experience, I have used my critical thinking in solving problem and making the most accurate decision to expand into a partnership structure and keep the business going. Now, as to my current experience. Now, for my current experience, NYCARE has been, a private crowdfunding company since 2018 with a mission of improving the lives of our investors and workers. And so far, we have 6 or at least possibly even 7 ongoing projects. They're just smaller ones, some big, some small. But besides being NYCARE co-partner and investors, I am the general manager at the company. So I run the business on a part-time basis while at school. I prepare NYCARE's financial statements, do payroll and remit withholdings to CRA. In addition, I do financial statements and tax returns for my co-partner, investors, and co-workers, including a non-resident part-time employee. At NYCARE, each partner and investors own their own investments and equity and compensated accordingly. NYCARE has a simple business model. Since we only have a few investors, they are mostly family members. It is still a private crowdfunding company. At NYCARE, we use cross-cultural teamwork and interpersonal skills. 2 of NYCARE's current projects are located outside Canada. We dealt with legal obligations internationally. This knowledge of international accounting, audit applications, and trade agreement will come into play. For example, recently I visited the Philippines consulate at least a few times to meet their legal requirement in dealing and securing land deeds and titles for one of our investors and co-workers, and I always try to demonstrate a more professional approach about it. So how does NYCARE generate fundings and income? Now, as a crowdfunding company, it provides both debts and equity investment opportunities. Once partners and investors have enough fundings for the requested project, we acquire these assets, which then build into portfolios and present to investors. Now, how do we make money? So far, these projects are generating small income from rental fees and interest income from marketable securities. Also, where we are gaining the most is the equity built into these projects through increase of equity, reasonable returns, and marketable securities, tax savings, and little grants for some of the government programs like REC, things like that. That's more like for a personal basis. But anyway, NYCARE charges investors accounting and management fees while waiting up to 3 to 5 years before they can use their equity income from their portfolios. So as to client services, I must be more persuasive with my oral communications, presentation skills with these investors so they will invest in these projects. Also, as a representative of NYCARE, with creditors, I must be on time in paying expenses here and abroad. I must be knowledgeable in improving advice on accounting issues, investment planning, or other financial matters to our investor, either big or small transactions. I have to make sure that I almost covered everything. And at the same time, I try to maintain client confidentiality and also complying all regulatory and standards expected from representative of NYCARE, and that would be me most of the time. Now, as NYCARE has a minimum budget per month, with this monthly budget, I must make sure I pay most of the investors' personal expenses and invest the rest into the marketable securities. Once we have enough fundings for a certain project, we purchase these projects, develop them, and see how we can make money on them. Each of these projects are usually personally owned, but we get what we get out of them is turning into a side or hobby business. So it doesn't affect all the personal ownership, and the future tax issues with each of these properties is minimized. So far, we managed to borrow some equity, withdraw some RSPs, and acquired fundings from many sources, such as loans, credit cards, and other credits to fund our projects. 5 years ago, these properties are valued at, I would say, 6 figures, but currently are valued in the 7 figures. I must admit, it's not easy finding fundings and meeting our personal and business budget every month. But with teamwork and trustworthy people who don't mind trusting you, even with their bank accounts, yeah, you heard it right. It makes my job a lot easier. Also, they sort of trust me with the finances, taxation, accounting, and the business part of it, since it's my educational training and my work experience. In addition, my accounting knowledge come into play on how accounting or how to account or separate personal income and expenses over business income and expenses for book and tax purposes. I can get complex, it can get complex and tedious, of course, but it's my training, and my family is just happy to have an accounting and finance person in the family and our business, of course. I have to apply financial analysis, use technology, and it helps in preparing, the company's monthly budget and preparing financial records. And also, I noticed that computer programs such as word processing, spreadsheets, database, accounting, tax software, even investment alerts, and the internet do all these tasks effectively. And I'm really thankful of that. Also, I noticed, but the thing is, I noticed that even though these tools are helping me, but there's just something that sometimes you have to use your own judgment and knowledge, skills, and experience to do it right and have the best result. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do at NYCARE. And what's the future of NYCARE? Well, likely NYCARE will accomplish great things through its missions, helping its own partners, investors, building better lives and improve well-being. With the help of personal investments, earning surpluses, existing fundings, we can turn it and continue generating short-term income, even accumulate long-term wealth, including even to downsize just to take advantage of the circumstances. So depending on the success of NYCARE as a private crowdfunding, additional investor will be added, unlike it would be incorporated as a private corporation in a year or two. So at least the company can hire family members or non-family members, be on the payroll, declare dividends, raise more fundings from other investors. Also, this will change the accounting of the compensation to investor from self-employment income to just passive income in the form of dividends as a corporation. Now, as far as professional career development, now I would finish my BBA accounting program degree, that's for sure, apply and pursue the Canadian, the US CPA designation if possible, and do a minor in finance and write the CPA financial planner designation. Yeah, and I just have to breathe it out and get paid for my training and work that I very much enjoy. Now, most of the experience actually is related to personal financial planning. Now, this includes, of course, building personal wealth, excuse me, for my family, and at the same time, leave NYCARE family business with the right people. Now, as to Douglas College course development, I wish they will do more online courses for those areas that can be done online. However, I prefer to have most course exams in person, and there is a valid reason to that. Laptop browser is fine if it is proctor in person. So when your computer freezes, error messages are showing up on your screen, you can ask help right away. And this will also avoid withdrawals and worst case scenario, failing grades for students who really work hard and don't deserve it. And lastly, please be specific on how many withdrawals can a student do before they can get locked out of taking particular course. Pardon me. Missing it as a prerequisite for the next class. Gonna leave the student behind for an extra semester or take it from another school. Now, I want you to meet the NYCARE team. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me or any of us. Thank you for listening. My apology for the longer recording. I will cut it down during our live presentation, promise. And bye for now.